G'day folks, and lovely to have your company on today's edition of The Racing Show. This program of course didn't go to air last Sunday as a result of the League Grand Final, and normally that would have upset me. Not so the case last week, because it saved me from the inevitable ear bashing I would have received from Simon O'Donnell about Octagonal's win in the Underwood Stakes. Oh, it was heaven not being with you last Sunday.
You were the luckiest man alive last week, because I was absolutely on fire after Caulfield. It was sensational what Octagonal did. He's back. Some of us didn't jump off, some did, but I stayed, and I'm happy I stayed.
You're a good judge. Victorian punters who like to watch their racing in the TAB branches have been profoundly inconvenienced by the Sky blackout of the last few days. But the good news is that in the next few weeks, the 9 networks wide world of sports will be really highlighting the Melbourne Spring Carnival.
Yeah, which is great. And look, it's hit Melbourne punters pretty hard, particularly, I suppose, TAB outlets. There's no pictures going in, there's still radio going in, but look, spring racing, hopefully we'll just keep them going and we'll get the pictures in there one way or another, and that's why we've come into the game.
The stars of yesterday's big program at Randwick were certainly Falonte, who made a mess of the Epsom field, and expatriate Kiwi jockey Shane Dye, who's never been in better form. Now, I don't give Shane all that many raps, as you know, because he gives himself enough to adequately cover the subject. Here am I about to give him one of the biggest raps I've ever rendered, and he's not with us because he's pretty crook with the flu and a bad bout of laryngitis. He'll be watching at home. A terrific effort to come back from the ravages of the sauna and influenza to ride 2 of his best ever races on Assertive Lass and Magic of Sydney. And talking about Magic of Sydney, the lady who got that horse ready to give Shane his win is Gai Waterhouse, and she joins us live from Tulloch Lodge. Congratulations, Gai.
Thank you, John.
Well, what a week of mixed fortunes. You talk about the valleys and peaks of horse racing. You've experienced both highs and lows this week.
Yes, it's been a very sort of up and down week, but we certainly had our ups yesterday. They were fabulous win. It was a fabulous win by Magic of Sydney. He hadn't raced for 3 weeks, and he's a young colt. And when I saw him walk around the mounting enclosure, I thought he might have been a little above himself.
He dashed very effortlessly to the lead here over Don Tristram. Ebony Grove with the green cap is coming through in the centre, and Dual Dilemma on the outside. Now, he looked like winning easily, Gai, but he dead set gets weary the last 50 metres.
Yes, but John, this horse will go ahead remarkably after this run. I think this run will see Magic of Sydney go ahead more than any other horse in the race. He's the horse to really be watching when down in Melbourne for the spring.
Gai, going from colts to fillies, Assertive Lass and Dashing Eagle going over the line together yesterday. Where was your heart for about 5 minutes there while the photo was being looked at?
Well, it seemed like about 5,000 years, Simon. We were up on the podium. There was Bart and Wolf Blass, and there was myself and our group with Assertive Lass. And we were there for about 25 minutes or 20 minutes waiting for the stewards to decide on the photo. She was beaten, as you can see.
Dashing Eagle definitely headed Assertive Lass, Gai. In fact, she might have gone close to a neck in front. You'd have been a bit worried at that point.
Yes, I was, John, and she definitely did go a neck in front, but full credit to Assertive Lass. She came again like a bulldog, the little fighter she is, and she fought back to win the race, and literally it was divided between them, and it was a most appropriate or most fitting win for both fillies.
That was probably an interesting thing, John. When they went over the line, it looked like Darren Beadman was behind Shane Dye, but the difference in the size of horses got them going over the line together. Yeah. Dashing Eagle was a very big filly.
That's a real trap when you're calling races too, Simon.
I bet it is. I'm glad I wasn't in your shoes.
You've got to ignore the position of the jockeys' bodies. It can be a real trap.
Correct.
Well, Gai, you produced Grey and Gold in the Canonbury Stakes, and he seemed to falter at about the 600-metre mark, and Shane Dye had no hesitation in pulling him out of the race. Any problem there?
Well, he's pulled up very shin-sore, John. Often these youngsters, when they hit the ground, jar up very badly, and he jarred up very badly. Shane pulled him back in the field, and he's now gone to the spelling paddock. You know, the owners and I were desperately disappointed. We've got a big opinion of the youngster, but he'll come back, he'll trial before the stewards, before he races again, and then he's being headed to the Magic Millions.
Gai, as you know probably better than anyone, there's no certainty in racing. Adventurous yesterday, everyone thought Saintly was a certainty, but you popped up again. There was a 7 or 8 kilo pull, but it was a great run.
Well, I knew that there was only one horse to beat in this Craven Plate, and when I nominated Adventurous the Monday before, I thought to myself, I know I've got an advantage, I know I've got a horse that's got speed, I'll use his speed. As you can see here, he takes the lead, and he takes a very devastating lead, doesn't he, John?
Yeah, does he tend to over-race, Gay? He's a headstrong sort of a horse, isn't he?
Well, when he won the Gosford Classic only a month ago, he raced like a drunken sailor, and Glenn Boss said, I can't believe that he could win. Isn't that a great shot?
Lovely shot. That was from our big coverage on Wide World of Sports yesterday. Adventurous is well clear into the straight. Darren Beedman, a victim of circumstances, had to take the field up to the tearaway leader, and with a difference in weights here of 8 kilograms, the two single out to fight it out. They're 4 or 5 lengths in front of Ken Bell and Electronic. Saintly look 4-1 on here as he draws level with Adventurous, but with that massive pull in the weights and Shane Dye's never say die attitude, Adventurous fought back to worry Saintly out of it.
I'll tell you what, it was a very tired Shane Dye after it, and probably a very tired Saintly. That's a very hard run for Saintly. Had to cart the field up to Adventurous during the run. Gay, what do you think of that Saintly run? Can he come up again 48 hours later in the Metropolitan?
Well, we do it all the time in the weight for age and the handicap race the Saturday before the Melbourne Cup. Simon, the proven adage in racing is always back the horse backing up within 10 days. And I wouldn't fault or I wouldn't query Bart. He knows what he's doing.
Well, you're in the enviable position of providing 50% of the Metropolitan field, 7 out of 14 runners. I'm going to put you right on the spot, the best of your 7.
Well, the best is Nothing Like a Dane, because he's the class horse, as Falante was in the Epsom yesterday, and you saw what he did there. Two class horses in the Metropolitan tomorrow. One is Saintly, who raced yesterday, and one is Nothing Like a Dane. They're Group 1 performers. My horse, Nothing Like a Dane, has proven over the distance. You've got the lightweight Hula Flight, and in between you've got horses like Prataris Bay, Western Approaches, you know, horses that have been so honest and are so well weighted. Few are chosen. He hasn't seen a weight like he's got for years.
Falante's brilliant win will have fueled your confidence regarding Juggler's prospects in the Caulfield Stakes next week. So let's hear from you about Juggler and West Point in the Caulfield Guineas.
Well, they packed their bags this morning, John and Simon, and they headed to Melbourne on the plane, and they didn't go economy. And they're heading down to Melbourne with Darbas, and they'll be racing at Caulfield next week. And I'll be sending them to Caulfield on Tuesday, and Shane Dye and Mick Dittman will go to Caulfield and ride them in a workout gallop to give West Point in particular an idea about going around the reverse way of going.
Gay, thanks for joining us again. Now, don't you put the wrong bridle on any of those horses in the Metropolitan tomorrow. We'll see you at Randwick, and good luck on the 3rd day of the carnival.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Simon.
OK, we're going to take a break now on The Racing Show. Magic of Sydney swept to the lead at the 200 over Don Tristram. Ebony Grove about to burst out of the pack. Dual Dilemma's there too. Magic of Sydney the leader. Ebony Grove is coming after him with Dual Dilemma. Magic of Sydney is just in front as they hit the line. I reckon he just lasted. Magic of Sydney, I'd say, a breath to Ebony Grove in a head moderate close.
Set. Stand by for a start. They're racing. Racing is on at Queanbeyan this Monday for the Kippax Fair race meeting. Give yourself a treat and join the friendly atmosphere at the Queanbeyan races. The amenities are excellent with spacious lawns and dining facilities for the perfect family day out. For the keen punter, there is a strong bookmaker's ring, full tote facilities, live Sky Channel coverage of all Metropolitan racing. Join me, Tony Campbell, this Monday at the Queanbeyan Racing Club's Kippax Fair meeting.
Davey.
And they're ready to run. They're off in the Cannon Epsom. Good start, and one of the first out, Magic Road. In fact, he bounded well clear of Falante. Catalan Opening began well, so did Flight to Fantasy. Wide out, Sober Suit going quickly. All Our Mob into a prominent posse on settling down. And then Peruzzi and Iron Horse, Clear Rose, Social Rule, Deep Snip, Ray Lopez, Persian Flyer, Delinquent Buzz Off. Getting well back as Auntie Mary, and Shame from the #1 gate is back last or second last now in the run to the first corner. As they come to the 600 mark, Flight to Fantasy the leader. 2 lengths on Sober Suit, Falante on the outside. All Our Mob getting a nice run, followed by Catalan Opening, Magic Road, then Clear Rose and Iron Horse off the track, followed by Peruzzi as they turn from Social Rule, and Shame is a mile back with Ray Lopez as they come over the rise. Flight to Fantasy about to be tackled by Falante, which has breezed up on the outside, and Falante exploded to the front at the 200 mark. Catalan Opening and All Our Mob are running on well, followed by Iron Horse, but it's all Falante with a 400 to go. All Our Mob is trying his heart out, but Falante, like the shooting star from which he gets his name, comes right away to win the Epsom brilliantly from All Our Mob, and Iron Horse has run third. Yeah, the Epsom has long been a good things race, but I doubt that it's ever been won with more consummate ease than Falante won it yesterday.
Well, it should have been, you know, after a race and the jockey comes back and explains to the owners and trainers what happened to the horse. I don't think there would have been a lot of long powwows going on in the mounting yard yesterday. That horse was simply outstanding. When it just blistered away at the 400, it was just travelling like it could still go another mile, and when York let it down, it was just awesome.
He won't run again, Simon, for 3 weeks. His next assignment will be the W.S. Cox Plate, and won't they know he's there?
They will know he's there, and it's going to be interesting. Gay saying with Magic of Sydney that horses, especially big horses, gross horses like Falante is, can get away from you in that 3 or 4 weeks. It'll be a big training effort from Jack Denham.
We should have mentioned, of course, that he ran a new track record, 1:33.31, breaking a 17-year-old record. Well, Brian York was able to snare the coveted ride after Mick Dittman's suspension. Kenny Callender caught up with him after the Epsom.
Brian, didn't he sprint quickly?
Oh, he just exploded, Ken, and he was just getting stronger by the time I got to the turn. He was just really building up under me, and it was just a matter of how far he's going to win by on the turn. And once we topped the rise and I asked him to go, he just exploded.
You weren't frightened of anything coming from behind?
No, he was going too quick. Nothing would have run him down today.
What about early in the race? You had no trouble with the wide alley?
No, everything went very well for us early. I let him, he jumped very well, and I just let him roll along. There was the horse on the inside, didn't seem to be in too much of a hurry, so I let him slide, and he got across the one off the fence, and then he relaxed beautifully for me.
Come back well underneath him.
Yeah, but you can put him anywhere in a race, and I had a word with Mick Dittman before the race, and he told me that he's just a magic horse to ride in a race. He just drops a bit when you want him to.
Well, you better have another word with Mick and see if you can stay on him.
Oh, I'd love to ride him at Fairnickham, but anyway, that's up to Jack and Jeff and Beryl, but whoever rides him, certainly a lucky man.
You can say that again, Brian. Well, Darren Beedman's dead heat on Dashing Eagle in the Flight Stakes was just enough to take him to a most important career milestone of 1,000 winners. Kenny Callender spoke with him.
Darren Beedman, 1,000 winners. It's a big milestone.
It is. It's a long, hard road to get there. And I was on 999 and a half. You can't get much closer than that. But to finish it off with a Group 1 win, it was exciting.
Darren, is there any particular win in that 1,000 that stands out?
I'd have to say my first win. Yeah, there's nothing like that. And I suppose the Golden Slipper and Melbourne Cup.
Well, you've won a Golden Slipper and a Melbourne Cup. What about the Cox Plate?
Well, that's the next race that I've put on my agenda.
You've got a lot more years of riding to go. How many wins can you get up to?
Well, I've achieved 1,000 in 14 years, so hopefully I can ride for another 14 and make it 2.
I hope we all cheer them all home.
Thanks, Kenny.
One of the gentlemen of the Australian turf, Darren Beedman. Simon, again, rain marred your Melbourne meeting at Flemington.
Yeah, certainly did. I left yesterday morning and the weather wasn't too bad, but it was just very heavy rain all morning. But look, it was a good meeting. The feature event was the Turnbull Stakes, and again, the Freedman brothers came through with a horse called Doremus. Andrew Bensley caught up with Lee Freedman after the Turnbull Stakes.
Well, Lee, obvious delight with the performance of Doremus.
Yeah, it was great to see him back. I mean, he's a great stayer. I don't think I've ever seen him run at Flemington that he didn't run a great race. And, you know, the way he did it today to come around everything was a sensational performance.
Gee, he was well back, but really Greg rode him so well to the home turn.
He did, yeah, he gave him every chance. I mean, you couldn't ride him how you normally would and let him come late because it was just too much to do today. But he rode a beautiful race on him and he showed his real staying qualities over the last 200.
I know there's a meeting tomorrow, but I think, talking to a few of the owners, the decision's already been made.
I think it's the worst kept secret in Australia today.
The Cup's double again. Can this horse win the double again?
He's certainly got the ability. I just, you know, look at those handicaps and wonder, but I certainly think he can win the Melbourne Cup. I mean, Flemington is his course, and 2 miles is his go.
He's going as good as ever.
I think he's going better than I see.
So where do you go from here? Straight at Caulfield Cup?
Straight at the bar and have a drink.
Yeah. Caulfield Cup?
Yeah, he'll go on the court and do the same as last year, run the Caulfield and the Melbourne.
Yeah, I suppose the disappointment in that race yesterday, John, was Rosa Portland. She just didn't fire and she had to run first or second to qualify for the Caulfield Cup. Now it looks like she's not going to be there.
Didn't handle the ground, though.
Didn't handle the ground, and why wouldn't she? There was a lot of horses that didn't, and particularly in the Edward Manifold 3-year-old fillies yesterday, it was probably a very open betting race in the end. It wasn't going to be early on, and it ended up being very open because of this heavy track and the rain we'd had.
Gee, they were spread out over some ground here, weren't they? Sorbic has got them well and truly struggling. This filly is by Mr. C, who's an underrated sire.
Yeah, it certainly is, and you know, 1600 is sort of a distance that Mr. C seemed to stop at, but this filly just could be one out of the box and could go onto an Oaks and win some pretty prominent races. But you can see there were some good fillies in that yesterday, and they were just spread out all over the place. Talking of good fillies, there was a good colt down there yesterday, or a good horse I should say, in Lion Hunter. He made his Melbourne debut yesterday in the Rupert Steele Stakes. He's on the outside rail, you can see him with a bit of a white face. He's a grey horse. Michael Clark's in the saddle. At this stage he was winning, and winning well. He's probably 2 lengths in front. Poetic King, you can see just tracking up behind him, is about to go through the gap and put paid to Lion Hunter, winning the Rupert Steele. But that is only his 3rd run.
Oh, it's unbelievable, Simon.
It is just a super run. Michael Clark has spoken very highly of him, taking nothing away from Poetic King. He's come back from a mile to 1200, which is a super effort. But Lion Hunter, keep a real good eye on him.
It's just incredible that a horse can do that. It's like a kid going from kindergarten to high school in about 3 weeks. Marvellously talented horse. OK, we're going to take a break on the racing show. We'll go out with a race called the Mason Stakes at a pretty race course called New Plymouth in New Zealand. And one of the Caulfield Cup aspirants, Mr. Marconi, failed to fire yesterday. Listen for some familiar names here.
Mortimer turns first, Everdon into the clear, Tartan Tights tracks them up, and then Parkeraka Star, Marconi, Mortimer, she's more than a length in front, Everdon's trying to get up alongside, and then Tartan Tights, Parkeraka Star, it's a Mortimer in front, from Everdon, a late run, Create Havoc, a Mortimer, brilliant ride, Jimmy Walker, a Mortimer, Create Havoc, flew to grab second off Everdon, then we had
Tiakau Nick and Sir Winston are 5 in front of Donegal Mist. Tiakau Nick on the outside and Nick in front. Sir Winston fighting on courageously. Nick Dittman shooting for the big double. Drives Tiakau Nick to the line, and Tiakau Nick wins the Metropolitan.
Yes, that's the one that started it all for Gai Waterhouse. Her first Group 1 winner. I think she now has about 17.5 of them in total. And Tiakau Nick, a Dower stayer. Saintly is also a Dower stayer, and he's my pick to win the Metropolitan tomorrow. I'm putting in the lightly weighted Hula Flight as a real danger, particularly if there's some rain about, and 3rd pick, Fewer Chosen. What's your trifecta?
I'm not much different. I'm Saintly, Nothing Like a Dane, and underrated mare Hula Flight.
I wonder what Kenny Callender thinks about the big race tomorrow, the AJC Metrop.
Well, there's no doubt that Falante and my old mate Shane Dye were the stars of Saturday racing at Randwick. But now, who's going to be the stars of tomorrow on AJC Metropolitan Handicap Day? Well, Saintly was beaten in the Craven Plate, but I still like him in the Metropolitan. He's a classy horse. He ran into a pretty good 3-year-old in Adventurous. He didn't shirk the issue, and I think his class will get him home in the Metropolitan. But, and it's a big but, what if the track becomes heavy? Can Saintly win? Well, he can still win, but his task will be a lot harder. If the rain comes, I think you should have a few bucks on Fewer Chosen. He eats the mud.
Well, immediately after the last race yesterday, we sent a camera down to Sick Bay, and we found Shane Dye.
Hi, boys. Sorry I can't be there, but I'm trying to recover a day watching news at home. I won't forget tomorrow, though. I'll be there riding Nothing Like a Dane in the Metrop, and he's got a great chance to win. But the horse to follow tomorrow is Licence Renewed. Now, he's been unlucky his last 2 starts, I know, but I'm doing my best. I'm going to be fit, and I'm going to get him over the line for everybody out there. See yous later.
What a great impression of Jimmy Durante.
I thought there was a little bit of Jeff Fennick in there too, with Hughes.
Metropolitan coverage on Nine's Wide World of Sports tomorrow between 3:30 and 4 o'clock. You be sure to watch to see the big one at Royal Randwick. OK, we'll take a break, and as we go out, head on, we see Assertive Lass and Dashing Eagle duelling in the Flight Stakes.
I was standing, you were there, 2 worlds collided, and they could never tear us apart.
midday.